Master Milimu Wanjala, who claims to have killed 22 children. We've also talked about this murder story that is on the front page of both the Daily Nation as well as the Standard, that is roping in Governor Kotho Bado, and of course that is the murder of Sharon Otieno. But some of the bigger political stories that are making headlines are the by-elections in Muguga ward as well as Kiambaa constituency. We've had Chris Thairu telling us about what's transpiring in Kiambaa, whereby the voters have already started streaming in and they're casting their ballots bright and early, and everything is going swimmingly. It is uneventful so far. But of course, this is an election that has been touted as one that will have a projection onto 2022 politics. And of course, whoever wins will determine, or perhaps will imply, who is stronger in the region. Is it the Jubilee Party or UDA? But of course, there is also the smaller by-election that is going on in Muguga ward, and we have Jeff Kirui standing by right there to give us details of what's happening so far in that locality. Over to you, Jeff Kirui.
Well, indeed, a very good morning, Trix. This is Muguga Primary School in Muguga Ward in Kabete constituency. This by-election, the civic ward by-election, was occasioned by the death of Eliud Ngugi, who died on the 6th of March this year. Of course, now that's it being vacant. But now, in this particular contest, there are 4 contestants seeking to replace the late Ngugi. And this is a particular contest that is actually again pitting Jubilee Party and UDA, United Democratic Alliance, UDA, which is associated with the Deputy President William Ruto. So by all means, this particular contest will actually be a contest between the President under the Jubilee Party and the United Democratic Alliance, associated with the Deputy President William Ruto. But just to bring you other contestants who are actually contesting in this contest, they include Moses Gishau of Third Way Alliance Party, Peter Njoroge of People's Party of Kenya. So those are the 2. Of course, there is the Githinji Mungara of Jubilee and Kamau Dhumbi of UDA. This contest is actually expected to be a hotly contested seat, considering that every political party involved is seeking to test the firepower ahead of next year's general election. This is a contest that will point out the popularity of their respective political parties heading to next year's general election. In this particular civic ward, there are a total of 18,000 registered voters, and the particular polling station, which I mean, probably the largest polling station in this civic ward, with a total of roughly more than 4,000 registered voters. Remember, according to the IEBC Act, a polling center cannot have more than 700 voters, registered voters. But this particular one has 8 streams. So 8 streams, when you multiply by 7, it gives you roughly around 4,800 registered voters. But right now, let me engage this gentleman who woke up early to cast his vote. Unaweza tueleza jina lako, unafahamika kama nani?
Collins Joshua.
Msukumo wako kuamka mapema hii leo kuja kupiga kura ni upi haswa?
Ni kuja kuamua kupatia mtu mwenye kani yake.
Kulingana na wewe, sijui kiongozi yupi ambaye mnataka kumchagua kushikilia nafasi kushikilia muda unaosalia kabla uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2022? Ni kiongozi wa aina gani mnamtafuta kama wakazi wa Muguga ward?
Si tunataka kiongozi mwenye za tusimamia kama mayouth, mwenye anaangalia barabara, kitu kama maji, na kusaidia kama mambo ya basari.
Naam, huyo ni mmoja wa wakazi wa ward hii ya Muguga katika kaunti ya Kabete. Lakini Trix, kujiuliza kidogo ni kwamba shughuli hii ya kupiga kura ilianza mwendo wa saa 12 kama inavyotarajiwa na kama ilivyopendekezwa na tume huru ya uchaguzi IEBC. So as such, it means that all the polling centers were actually opened by 6 in the morning, and the exercise is actually going to go on until 5 in the evening, when all the polling stations will be closed. Some of the regulations set by IEBC in the by-election is that anyone without a mask is not actually going to be allowed to cast his vote. And once you enter the polling station or the polling center, there is a water point. That is where you're going to wash your hands, sanitize, and there are officers who are actually going to ensure that you're wearing a mask before going to cast your vote. So considering that we are actually operating in a peculiar times of the COVID-19 pandemic, those are just some of the measures to ensure that the disease does not spread as a result of these by-elections. There are 8 streams in this area. As you can see from this side, there are 4 streams, and the other side there are 4 streams. So that makes a total of 8 streams in this by-election. And perhaps also to bring to your attention is that the contest in this race of Kiambaa, of Muguga ward, is actually pitting Jubilee Party, UDA Party, Third Way Alliance, and those are some of the parties who will be seeking to battle it out for this contest and have a representative who will be taking over for the remaining 390 days to 2022 general election. For UDA Party, of course, they'll be seeking to test their popularity in this area heading to next year's general election. Remember that despite the fact that it's a new kid on the block after changing the name from PDR, it's part of the coalition, or rather coalition member of the larger Jubilee coalition. And there is that fallout between the Deputy President William Ruto and his boss President Uhuru Kenyatta. And of course, it's expected to play out in this contest, similar to what is happening in Kiambaa, where it is a 2-horse race between a Jubilee Party candidate, that is Karine Njama, as well as the UDA candidate, John Juguna Wanjiku. So we expect to see exactly how this will pan out. Remember, in the last by-elections that we witnessed, I had a chance to cover Kabuchai by-election as well as Machakos. There was an upset for the UDA party, and they'll be seeking to redeem themselves. In those particular 2 by-elections, Jubilee did not participate, but they were supporting the candidates from ANC in Matung, from Ford Kenya in Kabuchai. So basically, this contest will probably shape the outcome of the 2022 general election. So it's not just about the civic ward, but more or less as well pointing towards the outcome of the next general election. Tricks.
Thank you very much, Jeff Curry, for that detailed run-through of what's happening in Muguga ward as they also take to the ballot to make their decision, decide who shall be their leaders, and of course pointing out a very obvious issue that this is of course going to reflect on the larger politics of the nation. We have here a quote by Professor Peter Kagwanja that says the loss in Juja was a wake-up call for Jubilee elite, so they have gone all out to ensure Kiambaa does not go to UDA. Another opinion on why they're having the politically elite very invested in these smaller by-elections. Now today morning, voters in Kiambaa constituency and Muguga civic ward in the counties of Kiambu have gone to the polls to elect their next representatives. The Independent and Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has promised smooth by-elections. Here's KTN's Emmanuel To with yesterday's preparations for the mini polls.
It is all systems go for Thursday's parliamentary by-election in Kiambaa and the civic ward mini poll in Muguga. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, is confident of its level of preparedness. This, however, did not come without caution to the more than 96,000 registered voters in Kiambaa.
Hatutakubalia watu watumie simu ya rununu kupiga picha ya alama ambayo ameweka ili aende, sijui ni kwa sababu gani wanapiga picha. Pia akishapiga kura hatakubaliwa kukaa hapo aki-idle katika polling station. Inatakikana akimaliza kupiga kura aende nyumbani, aende akagojee matokeo huko nyumbani.
Kiambaa constituency has 34 polling centers and 154 polling stations across 5 wards, which are Sianda, Moshadha, Denderu, Karori and Kihara. A total of 8 candidates will battle it out for the seat that fell vacant after the death of immediate former MP, Paul Koinange.
Hakuna mtu ambaye atakubaliwa kama hana mask ya face mask. Tumewanunulia sanitizers za kutosha na zote ziko katika hizi boxes, na pia kuna maji ya kutosha ya kunawa mikono na sabuni.
Kiambu County Police Commander Ali Nuno has assured residents of Kiambaa and Muguga of sufficient security. Leaders from the Jubilee Party have, however, asked the police to exercise caution so as not to scare away voters.
Naambia wote, vijana, wamama, wazee, kujeni tafadhali, piga kura mahali unataka, usalama huko, lakini usiambie na mtu hakuna usalama.
If I can be here and my other colleague on the other side, we are together and we are not fighting. So why should you fight? Why should you be afraid?
We are confident that we have the best candidate. We know that we are prepared for tomorrow, and the Kiambaa people will triumph tomorrow.
The United Democratic Alliance, UDA, has also called on voters to turn up in large numbers for Thursday's exercise.
Therefore, we want to ask the people of Kiambaa to come out in large numbers tomorrow and elect the leaders of their choice.
I have a reason to believe that voting will be peaceful. We have also been assured that the roadblocks are to facilitate a peaceful election. So we want to give them, again, like we did with IBC, the benefit of doubt, and also assure our voters that we are going to be vigilant.
In Muguga ward, 4 candidates are set to face off. They are Gedenji Mongara of Jubilee, Kamau Dombe of UDA, Moses Gishau of the Third Way Alliance, and Peter Njoroge of People's Party of Kenya. The 18,000 registered voters in Muguga will be seeking to replace the late Eliud Ngoge. After the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissions finalized on its preparations ahead of tomorrow's by-elections, it is now upon the residents of Kiambaa constituency and Muguga ward to make sure they elect the right leaders who will be representing them in the next dispensation. Emmanuel To, KTN News from Kiambaa constituency, Kiambu County.
All right, another emerging issue is the heavy police presence that has been at both areas of the elections. And of course, we are joined by Emmanuel To himself, who is live from Kiambaa constituency, to tell us what is the latest that is happening. Could you tell us what's happening as far as that security presence and, of course, the process that started at 6 a.m. this morning?
Well, a very good morning to you, Trix. It is a cold morning here in Kiambaa constituency. Despite that, residents, voters, 96,000 of them have turned up for this exercise that is beginning or has begun already at around 6 a.m. and is supposed to go on until 5 p.m. today. But those who will be on the queue, the IBC officials, will be allowed, but
Unfortunately, we have lost Emmanuel To, but we shall be catching up with him later on once we fix whatever technical hitch made us lose him. We're going to go back to our panelists here in studio, who, of course, are going to weigh in on some of the issues that have been pointed out. And, of course, during the break, we're having a small discussion here on why the stakes are so high, particularly for the president and for Jubilee. There's an opinion here that I read earlier on by Peter Kogwanja, the professor, who says the loss in Juja was a wake-up call for Jubilee's elite, so they have gone all out to ensure Kiambaa does not go out to UDA. Do you agree with these sentiments, Mr. Kioko?
Well, it's a fluid situation.
Yeah?
Let me tell you, it's a fluid situation. The president has allowed himself to be drawn into a contest that best he should have avoided. But again, it is his backyard. I wish in other circumstances these by-elections were not there. I don't think they were prepared for them. You saw the attitude that happened in the Juja by-election. Yeah. There was a lot of laxity. So I don't think they took Juja. I believe they took Juja for granted. And when the outcome came, it shocked them and jilted them.
Yes.
Is it coming a little bit too late? I think that is what the outcome will be. And that it goes back to what we said earlier. It is not just about a win. The elite that has been stirred into action, the leadership of Jubilee that has been stirred into action, it is about the margin of the win. That is what will be critical to explaining political movement going forward. But again, you must look also at the campaigns itself. The entire leadership of MPs of Jubilee in Kiambu County are either with UDA or have abstained in the lead up to this by-election. Those who are in Jubilee or supporting the Jubilee candidate are playing a back burner to people who are coming from Nyeri County. That's why you see Kanini Kega at the forefront. That is why you see Susan Chege of Muranga being at the forefront. It's not Governor Njoro. It is not other people, elected leadership. On this other side, yes, you have Gachagua, but again, Kimani Ichung'wah is at the forefront. He's a member of, he's an MP coming from Kiambu County. Yeah. So you need to see it. And one of the tectonic shifts that happened after the Juja by-election is this, the women rep defected to UDA. There's more feelers that there are people who are in Jubilee who are not speaking out, but their hearts and souls are in UDA.
So they're just playing up
they're just playing up this part. And even a story is told that even if the Jubilee candidates win, Wanjiku, this Kareri Njama guy wins, his heart, his mind, body, and soul is in UDA. He was a UDA guy before the last thing. So he will get in with Jubilee, but come January, February, there is a high chance that he'll be one of the first people to defect to UDA. So I think for clarity purposes, the ball is actually on Jubilee. How it allowed itself to get to this point and be pushed to this corner is subject that many people will want to study and learn, so that when you are given a national party, don't allow yourself to lose your background support.
Okay, Mr. Nderi, do you believe that Mr. Kareri Njama is a possible betrayer, that his heart is on the other side anyway?
I tend to disagree with that because the fact that maybe I saw a photo of him and the deputy president is something that is normal. Just like we have anyone can take a photo with the deputy president. So I don't think Kareri Njama is going to be a person who will come to betray his party. And I would want us to take back to what entails an election and a by-election. Jubilee never really lost in Juja. It was actually more of the candidate that lost. So it all went to the selection of the candidate. So when the selection of a candidate goes wrong, then you expect to lose. And we're in a season where voters are now enlightened. They are now not just voting on party lines. They now want to vote for individuals who will probably have their agenda at hand. So I believe Kareri Njama, having gone to Jubilee Party, and having been selected in more of a system where there were no maybe nominations on the ground, it was more of an assessment where he came out top. And it is clear that Kareri Njama actually never sought the UDA candidature. He went and sought the Jubilee candidature. And it was a situation where he would have lost to someone else in a selection. So I think Kareri Njama is more of a person who probably is going to be loyal to Jubilee Party and more so going to be loyal to the people. And as I said earlier, Kareri Njama has been with the people. He has a track record of things he has done for the people. He has been there with the people. And therefore, I don't think we should be questioning or rather speaking about whether he will be loyal to the president or the deputy, but whether he will be loyal to his mandate of representation and the mandate that he will be sent to Parliament to do for the people of Kiambaa. Okay.
And as we stay on that, could you tell us what you predict will happen in Muguga ward as they continue to vote?
The Muguga ward by-election, and rather the two by-elections in general, they're actually neighboring. They are actually among two neighboring constituencies. Yes. I am of the opinion that Jubilee will lift both seats. And why I think so, it's because Jubilee Party is rather fielding candidates who have actually been on the ground. This time we have made our selection very keenly. And why I think that the people of both areas, including Muguga, are going to vote for Jubilee is because if you look at the UDA candidates, they're actually being fronted on an agenda of should we fail the deputy president? They're actually there on an agenda of the deputy president's 2022 ambitions. So they are not really there to push their own ambitions. If you look at the UDA candidates and the campaign that is going on, it's about the hustler nation not being failed on the ground. But that is not the issue that the people need to look at. Even if we belong to parties, even if we belong to Jubilee Party or UDA Party, whichever party, we must now make some of these conversations to be very keen on issues. And I think that the people, having interacted with them, are now tired of voting for narratives, voting for based on emotions that are driven by politicians. And so I think they will look beyond the Hustler Nation narrative. They will look beyond all those narratives. And if you look at both areas, there are places where there is a lot of road infrastructure works happening by the Jubilee government. And so I think they will probably look at those development going on in those areas and think that maybe if we vote for a Jubilee candidate, he will be able to lobby for the completion of those projects.
Okay.
So I am projecting a Jubilee win, and more so, I want to project a win for the people of those areas, because Jubilee may win, but the people may lose. So
Right.
it's about the people getting the right leader.
Right, and Karine Jama did say, okay,
Maybe, I just need to clarify a little bit, if you allow me. When we are talking about the political shift after, in February, it's not about disloyalty to the president.
Okay.
He'll get elected if he gets elected under Jubilee. But the political dictates of February next year and the heat he will have felt in this by-election, it is very possible that the Jubilee candidate, if he wins, come next year, he might sing a different tune, which is to align himself with the UDA politics. That's the only thing. It's not
So
about
would you
loyalty.
call it political survival?
It will be more about political survival for himself. And if he sees the region is moving towards the William Ruto's candidature, then it is very natural for him to say, I served Uhuru's agenda, Uhuru's agenda is over, or the person President Uhuru is taking us to is not the person the people of Kiambu like, therefore I'm aligning myself most likely to the UDA. So it's not about disloyalty to the president. It's about political survival for him as a person that we must see. So that I wouldn't want to, because his campaign, I think, by and large, is based on loyalty to the president.
Okay. And
so if I don't want to appear like I'm decampaigning him in this show, that would not be fair to me.
Okay, and he even says here, and is quoted on page 8 of the Standard, saying voting for Jubilee will mean acknowledging the good work the president has done for Kiambu constituency, and of course he was urging the people to vote for him. Now we are joined by Emmanuel. So let's just cross over to Kiambaa constituency. He was earlier on here on the show about to give us the very latest from his location. So over to you, Emmanuel. What's happening where you are?
Well, thank you very much, Trix. Sorry for that hiccup that we had here. But everything is going on well here in Kiambaa constituency. We're at Karuri Primary School. This is one of the polling centers, and of course polling stations inside this polling center, 154 polling stations. And the residents here in Kiambaa constituency have already turned up in large numbers. Most of them should be going to work, but they have decided to make sure that they exercise their democratic right. The 96,020 of them who've been registered by the IEBC to participate in this exercise, and we're expecting that the polls will have opened at 6 a.m. and they'll be closing at 5 p.m. today. But those who will be in the queue, as the IEBC has indicated, will be allowed to vote, or of course just continue with that process. And there are 8 candidates in this race. 6 of them are sponsored by various political parties. The main contenders, of course, in this race, as you have been having that discussion, is the Jubilee Party with Karine Jama. And of course, there were some rumors that he had dropped out of the race, but the Jubilee Party came out strongly, castigating some of those sentiments by some of the quoters, saying that Karine Jama had not opted out of the race, but he was strongly inside the race, and he also confirmed to us when we spoke on phone that he was going to vote at Gashie Primary School. And the other candidate is UDA's John Njuguna Wanjiko, who is also expected to participate in this process. But there are also 2 candidates who are going independently. And I'm just going to speak to some of the residents, the voters, who are waiting patiently to exercise that right. Asante sana mzee kwa wakati wako. Tueleze tu kwa sasa, unatarajia ulifika hapa saa ngapi, unatarajia kupiga kura saa ngapi? Anza na jina lako.
Jina langu ni Charles Karemi. Sijakaa sana. Nimekuja saa hii, lakini inaonekana hapa raini na move pole kidogo.
Na labda unatarajia kupiga kura saa ngapi, na umeelezwa utakapoingia ndani nini kinafaa kufanyika?
Sijaambiwa, lakini nikiingia ndani nitajua. lakini nataka kupiga kura alafu niende kazini.
Asante. Hi, let me speak to someone else. This one here. Asante sana mama. Tueleze tu unahisi aje kwanza kufika hapa kwa ajili ya shughuli leo?
I'm so good. I'm so glad. Na nasikia furaha sababu nimepewa ruhusa nichague mwenye nataka kuchagua.
Na huyu mwenye unataka kuchagua, unataka mwakilishi ama mbunge anakaa namna gani? Anafaa kufanyia nini? Unataka kufanyia nini wakati ataingia bungeni?
Nataka tu aendeleze kazi, iendelee kama kawaida. Yeah.
Let me speak to someone else here. There are so many of them. Let me just speak to you. Asante. Tueleze tu jina lako kwanza na siku ya leo umefika hapa saa ngapi, umetoka wapi, unatarajia kwamba shughuli ya ndani itaendelea vipi?
Mimi naitwa Beatrice Wairimu. Nimekuja kupiga kura. Nichague mwenye nataka. Nifanyie kazi Kiambaa.
Kazi gani? Unataka kazi gani? Afanye kazi gani?
Kazi yenye ilibakia Kaunange wakati alienda. Kama shule, security, kitu kama hiyo.
Asante sana. So these are the voters, 96,000 of them who have turned up. In this polling station that I'm just about to get into, there are about 600 or so of them who have been registered to participate in this process, and they're just waiting one by one as they get in. And I just want to take you inside so that we can see what really is happening there after they come in. So I'm told that once they come in, they get here, they get sanitized, they get their details confirmed. If you could speak to us, please. No, she wouldn't allow that. But the process is as simple as just coming in, getting your name checked by some of the officials here. These are the officials. There are over 1,000 of them who have been trained by the IBC, including the clerks, the presiding officers, and all of them. And that is a KIMS kit. Once you come in, you show your identification card. They confirm that. They look at the system to see whether you're also there, and just to make sure that your name is correct, the details are correct. And after that, something else that the IBC officials, the returning officer in Kiambaa constituency, Mr. Peter Muguga, told us is that if you voted with first, you will not be able to come in again. And if you come in, or if you have any imagination of having to vote again, the KIMS kit will ring, and it will not allow you to vote. So the next step, the voter will come to another official who will now look at the voter register that has been submitted here. They confirm whether the name is there. And now the voter will be given a ballot paper which will be having the name of all the 8 contestants, the 8 candidates who will be participating in this process. And I told you that there are 8 of them, but there's only one lady, which is very interesting, that, of course, if you look at it from the perspective of the gender affair, the women are not really coming out very strongly for this process, and they're just receiving the last instructions before she goes to the polling booth. This is now a secret ballot where she will be allowed to have her own time and go on to tick against the name of the candidate. And even in the ticking, you'll have to make sure that you tick inside the box, right inside the box of the, and there now, and that is where she now casts the vote. And this is as simple as that. It has taken roughly about 2 or 3 minutes for one voter to begin the process after coming in, after queuing, of course, and waiting for her turn to come and vote. So that is the situation here. We are going to go to different parts of this constituency to give you a picture and a glimpse of what is likely to happen or what is supposed to happen as the people of Kiambaa, or as Kiambaa constituency decides on who is going to succeed the former Member of Parliament of this area, Mr. Paul Koinange, who died in March after succumbing to some COVID complications. Over to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel To, giving us the latest from his location in Kiambaa constituency, and that's going to be the running theme of the day as our reporters keep us up